Well, hello, and welcome to the Legacy Insights podcast. And I am your host, Moving Money Mike. And believe me when I say I'm so excited, I'm stumbling over my words already. Listen, episode number 17, the hidden force behind every financial breakthrough. I'm telling you, this comes right from the Legacy framework. We're going to give it to you. But before we get to all the nuggets, I got to get through the intro. So listen, I'm your host, Moving Money Mike, and this is the Legacy Insights podcast. And we're here to discuss financial and literacy, entrepreneurship, and the strategies that's going to take the individual to the next level in their lives. Listen, simply put, we provide the insight to get your mind and your money right. We're going to be covering topics, tips, tricks, strategies, interviews, entrepreneurship for and entrepreneurs at every level of business, just starting out, seasoned professionals, industry leaders, breaking through on groundbreaking technology. I'm really looking forward to that. Real estate investing. I'm talking with some people now to get some things in motion. Um, and I just want you to consider some things as we're going through these episodes. Listen, get your pen and your paper together. Write down some of these thought-provoking ideas and topics that we're going to be covering, so that you can get your mind and your money right. This is your show. This is what we're here to do: is to get you thinking, get those juices flowing. Right? That's what we do here at the Legacy Insights podcast: is provide insight to get your mind and your money right. So we need to know, first of all, what is a legacy? How do we get a legacy? How do we start a legacy? Right? I'm here to assist you in becoming a better informed entrepreneur, financial person seeking the literacy and the intelligence to get to where you're going, and that individual just looking for some insight to get their mind and money right. So it's time to let's get smarter. Episode 17, the hidden force behind every financial breakthrough. So what is that? I got my trusty show notes here with me. I'm going to ask you a few questions just to get this thing going. What if you lack what if you lack your lack of alignment? Let me get this right now. What if your lack of alignment is the real reason your finances aren't working or growing? Let's talk about it. We're going to recap some of the things that we've done, because it all builds up and it leads to this. I talked about the previous episodes, the pillar, the financial framework, right? How they build off one another. So you got to learn, you got to elevate, you got to guard, then you got to get in alignment. And I've had some things happen to me over the last couple of days that have gotten me to look or look back at my own alignment, and if I'm really there. So I got to find out what's happening with my alignment, so that I can move myself to the next level. So why is misalignment is quietly destroying my finances? Why is misalignment quietly destroying your finances? See, we could all do better. Get aligned or get left behind. See, this is truly what how it works. The truth about wealth and purpose is alignment. Okay, so let's keep this going. Alignment is where everything gets deeply personal. It ties mindset, relationships, all right? Relationships, and I'm not just talking about personal ones. We're going to touch on this: faith and money into one unified direction. See, so alignment means that mind, body, spirit, and emotions and intention, and not just intention, but your strategies are all going in the same direction. What's coming out your mouth, what you're putting forth in effort is going in the same direction. So let's talk about it. Today, we're going to be talking about what's often ignored, and that's the alignment. Because strategy is not just a budget, it's not just investment. These things could get your life out of sync if you're not together with it. So here we go. What is alignment? It's not just balance. It's not just balance. It's about direction and harmony. See, if you're not in alignment, you wonder why you don't have the inner harmony, and you feel like you're always at conflict with yourself and your intentions and your finances, right? And I wonder sometimes, like, could I be doing a lot better when it comes to my finances? And the answer is definitely yes, right? We've all done some pretty weird, silly things with money, overspending, and just being a consumer, right? So, and when you're out of alignment and that conflict's there, it leads to inconsistent decisions. Spending versus saving, spending versus in investing, sticking to your strategy of building the wealth. So there's some mind shifts that need to take place, from reacting to responding, from survival mode to strategic living, from fear-based money habits to faith-based confidence. So let's take a moment to just like settle in on those three mindset shifts, from reacting to responding. You see a sale sign, for sale sign. You're in the store. You go past the clearance rack. You in the store, you see that pair of sneakers that you've been looking for, right? But the last year's, and you listen, they're $50 cheaper than they were when they first came out. Should you still spend the money, right? That's that mind shift, right? From reacting to responding, knowing that you've got a budget that you should be adhering to. From survival mode to strategic living. Oh, I better buy the large box of cereal so they'll last me longer, right? Rather than just buying, the small box and a bunch of other little things that you don't need because you're trying to get it all in, right? We got to be strategic in thinking that, hey, I should buy in bulk so that it will last me longer. I may not have every little taste that I want, but at least I know I got this in enough capacity that's going to last me over the long time, over the long haul, and I'm going to save some money. Strategic living, strategic money making decisions. Fear, living in fear. Now, this is what I learned: living in fear of yesterday, being in anticipation of tomorrow. Because of our past experiences, that's the only experience that we have. Thinking and anticipating tomorrow is going to be a little bit based on our past because of attitudes, behaviors, and mindset. We're always in a state of fear or anticipation when what should be is in control of today. See, so as long as we are controlling today, we don't have to be in fear or anticipation, right? Or feeling that anxiety of moving forward because we're doing what we need to do right here and now so we can change the fear of the past and the angst of tomorrow because we know what we're doing right now is the right thing. We're making the mindset shifts now so that when we go forward, we know we have a history of doing the right thing and moving forward, right? In alignment, right? We got to stay with the word today, the pillar, right? Alignment so that we could go into our future and our tomorrows with some certainty, with some faith-based decision making. So, let's keep this thing going. You cannot manifest wealth from a misaligned mindset. It's always going to trip over itself if you're not in alignment. You can't manifest something that you don't put the work into. It just doesn't happen, right? So I got a call to action for you. I need you to journal your money beliefs. Like I said, you got to have your pens and papers out, people, because this is the type of the information that's going to allow you to move from where you are to where you like to go. I just shared with you. You cannot manifest wealth from a misaligned mindset. So you got to write it down. Get those pens and paper together. Let's write this stuff down. You got to journal your money beliefs so that they match your goals or your fears. Right? This way you know what you're heading for. You got to know what you're battling. I heard this the other day. If you're going forward in life and you never meet your devils head on, you must be going in the same direction. You got to be able to meet your devils head on. That's the only way you can deal with them. If you're not having a test in your journey going forward, that means that you're living with your demons in a happy place. And that's not a good place to be. You got to be constantly knocking them demons down as you're moving forward, right? Let's keep it moving. When it comes to alignment in relationships, and I've said it's more than just personal relationships, even though that's a big part of it, because your tribe, right? The people that you're in unison with that are close to you in your circle of influence, you'll all have to be going the same way. If you're in a relationship, you and your spouse have got to be on the same page. You got your kids. They want what they want. They want the cell phones. They want the clothing because of their peer pressure, right? They got to have the latest cell phone. They got to have internet. They got to have at all costs. Right? I joke, but I'm serious as hell about this. Is just every time I leave my door, I'm in a deficit, right? Right. It's costing me money. I don't even want to say it. I'm in a deficit, right? But every time I go out the door, but it's so true, right? I was listening to the news the other day. Coffee is up. Now I'm a coffee drinker. It's up 20%. Now I hope that I don't this information gets dated at some point, right? But we're in a news cycle of change right now, financial and economic, right? So if I don't speak to the times, I'm not being honest with myself and to you who need this information so that you can carry forward, right? So start making your coffee at home. I don't care if it's 10 years from now, right? Save the money, buy in bulk, make your coffee at home, right? So this is what I recently learned about in all relationships, personal, business, and spiritual. You're going to want to write this down. First, a giver and a giver is exotic. A giver and a taker is neurotic. A taker and a taker is psychotic. Man, that right there, I could just turn the mic off, turn the camera off right there. But we got so much more information to go. But those three, a giver and a giver, is exotic because how much could they do together? They're both putting in to the relationship, to the goals, to the strategy, to the mindset, to the elevation of the relationship. You should be able to take that into your personal relationships most of all. Are you with me or are you for me? Because if you're just with me, we're in trouble. But if you're for me, we can get some things done. Those personal relationships. A giver and a taker is neurotic. There's going to be some chaos there, right? Now let's just get it straight because we're all not perfect, but you see what where I'm coming from, right? There's always going to be someone giving and taking a little bit at a time. But if you're constantly doing more giving, you're going to get a lot further. You're going to get a lot further, right? Relationships, this is not what the show is about. This ain't about, you know, fixing, personal relationships, but it is also talk. It's also about addressing the personal relationships, the conversations that you need to have so that you can improve the relationships that you have, not only with your spouse, but also the money, right? So let's keep this thing going. We must constantly take alignment into account. That goes without being said. The power of a partnership is alignment. Two visions create division. Two visions create division, right? How do you talk about money with your spouse without a conflict? You sit down, you talk about the goals. You talk about the finances. You talk about what is it that you want to accomplish, both of you, within the next 2 years, 3 to 5 years, next 10 years, right? Those are the kind of conversations that you have to keep the conflict at a minimum because you've talked about them, you've documented them, that, hey, this is what we're doing, right? You pin it on the refrigerator, you talk about it on the way out the door, you remind yourself in the car or on the way to work. You're listening to great podcasts like this, the Legacy Insights podcast, reminding you that you're on a mission in life, that you are the CEOs of your life, and that, hey, there's nothing that's going to stop you. You deserve more. You deserve the life that you've always dreamed of. And that's what I want for you. That's what this show is all about. This is your show. This is your show. Let's keep it moving. You got to teach your kids about money and sharing family goals, right? Let them participate in the process because they're gonna emulate what they experience in the household as children growing up. Just like you say you grow into your parents, right? Well, if you start these money conversations now with your children, they're going to have that experience and financial wherewithal as they grow into a young adults going out into this world who's going to telling you it's changing, right? It's changing as we speak. It's changing as we speak. They're going to have the wherewithal to go into this world financially and economically to handle the challenges that are going to be coming their way. And hopefully they do very well because guess what? They're going to be taking care of you and me, the children. Right? See, because I talked about it in one of the episodes. I can't remember what episode it was in the retirement episode about the Gen Xers, the millennials, and the baby boomers, right? The need for long-term care, in that the children are going to end up taking care of the parents, which I had to do, my elderly parents until they passed away, God rest their soul. Somebody's got to be there for them. But if they don't have the foundation that you're teaching them now, how are they going to be able to take care of you? This is real talk. This is real talk. You got to watch out for the warning signs of misalignment, hidden debt, separate goals, inconsistent priorities. You got to watch out for those landmines, not wanting to have the conversation because, things are tight. I get it. See, I don't care how much money you make. This is not just for people of a certain income level. This is people at all spectrums on the financial status. You don't think millionaires have financial issues? They just got bigger ones. You think that because they got a couple $1 million, they may not even be liquid. Most millionaires are not liquid, meaning their money is tied up in assets and or liabilities until they become assets, right? Because they had to acquire them. So they got to keep working, they got to keep spending, they got to keep the income coming in. Excuse me, they have employees, overhead, um, a lifestyle that they are living with, they got to keep it going. They got to keep it moving. So you got to have those the awareness of misalignment. So what I need you to do, there's another call to action here, is to create 3 goals with a legacy vision board. I just want you to put legacy vision board and 3 goals that you're going to start working toward with this information that we're giving you today. Okay, that's what we need to do. So schedule a family financial meeting, or set one up for yourself if you're single. If you're an individual, schedule a meeting with yourself that you're going to sit down and you're going to put in writing what you're doing, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. Right? A plan without a vision and a strategy is just a wish. Plan, vision, strategy. You got to get there. And you need all 3 of those. If one of those are missing, you're going to find yourself all over the damn place. Right? Let's get it together. Schedule that meeting with yourself, your family, your tribe, if you will, and define your shared vision in, if you can, in one sentence, if not in a short paragraph. But the key is get it down, create the legacy vision board, get it done. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is Moving Money Mike. This is the Legacy Insights podcast. Go to YouTube at Legacy Insights podcast. Hit that subscribe button. Scan that QR code that's there, because that QR code is going to take you to a financial overview and information session that's going to allow you to learn some things, reaffirm some things, confirm some things, right, about financial literacy and financial knowledge that's going to help move you from where you are to where you're going. That's what this show is about. This is your show. Let's keep it moving. So, how do we get into spiritual alignment? Because I said alignment is just is mind, body, spirit, right? It's emotional. It's all those things. We only got a few minutes in the show to talk about it, right? So I'm hitting the hard points, right? I'm hitting the hard points that make the biggest impact, right? Because this show is about impact, right? Financial literacy is good, but financial intelligence is even better, right? You've got to be able to get the information with literacy, then with the financial intelligence, be able to apply it to yourself. So I want impactful information coming through to you so that you can move yourself, right, to where you're going. So the spiritual alignment, right? See, this is how faith and purpose gives meaning to money, right? Stewardship versus ownership. So you've got to be a good steward of your finances. You got to be able to do the right thing with your money rather than just acquiring it, having it, right? So people think wealth is just the acquisition of money. Well, it is in the short vision of money, is getting as much money as you possibly can, because money is not evil. It's what you do with money that makes it evil. So if you're a good steward of your finances, then guess what? You're going to be in alignment with some values that you have. If you're on that path, right, of goodness and good stewardship, that you're putting money away, you're investing it wisely, you're spending money on necessities and not the niceties, right? But then you got to have a budget that says, hey, I need to treat myself for all the hard work and good stewardship that I'm putting forth in my financial goals and dreams with my family. So you want to make sure that you're always aware of the danger of chasing success without substance. So what good is having all the money that you could possibly have and not feel good about yourself? Um, I'm gonna take a second here just to kind of reflect. We've all heard stories of people being in much better financial situations and then ending it all, if you will. Um, yeah. And we say, wow, well, it seems like they had the perfect life. And they seem like they had all of what anybody could ever want. What was missing? Self. Something inside them wasn't whole. Now, I'm no psychiatrist, but I do know that success without substance could really, really be a downfall. They say Biggie Small said, more money, more problems, right? Don't know. Not yet. But those people who have had it, who have it all, and you hear the tragic stories of where they, decided that, they didn't want to be with us anymore. And you ask yourself why. So be careful of the pitfalls that money can bring and success can bring, because it's got a lot to go with that, right? And I'm sure you can figure it out. If you money doesn't make you either one way, it just makes you more of who you are. So if you're a good person and you get a lot of money and in favor and blessings, then you're probably going to do some really good things with that. But if you're not, and you get a whole lot of money, right? And hey, think about what we're talking about here. Generally, be nice, and things will go your way. So we're just going to just fall back on that for a second. Are your financial goals aligned with your values or your ego? You know, that is such a good segue for this next area that we're going to touch in. Are your financial goals aligned with your values or your ego? Why do you want to be successful? Why do you want to make more money? I was on a call the other day with some of my mentors and some other people that do what we do, and they were talking about how the misalignment, right? And it's funny because like the six pillars of the legacy framework touches every aspect of this. You've got to go back to the show previous episodes and listen to the legacy framework, the six pillars, because it touches every area of our lives. Well, this conversation was talking about alignment, and that there's a lot of entrepreneurs like myself who are looking for multiple six, I mean, it's multiple seven-figure incomes by helping others, but we haven't put in the work that requires multiple seven-figure return. So that means my mouth and my actions are not in alignment. Then my activities are not as well. Right? So you could take some action, and then you got to have consistent activity to get to where your mouth and your focus goes. Right? So you got to have alignment, you got to have activity, you've got to have a strategy, and then you've got to have expectations that you're going to get there and put the work in. You got to put that work in. Let's keep it moving. Everything, everything ties to alignment. So the next call to action, I really just need you to think about, do you have some gratitude in your prayer? In your daily activities, are you really grateful for what you have? See, because I understand that there's some principles involved with acquisition of monetary blessings. And one of those principles is gratitude. There's some books out there, that you should definitely look at. I've got a list of 20 books. I'm going to have to get that list together and speak to them on the show here, because like I said, I really want you to have all of the information armed. I want you to be armed with the information so that you can digest it for yourself. Just don't take my word for it at all times, because I want you to do your own research, right? This is a broad topic of about alignment, and then you got to get granular with this thing. You got to get down into your soul. It's like, hey, why am I doing what am I doing it for, right? And then you got to you know ask for some gratitude or get some gratitude, right? They say don't pray to make it easier, pray to make me stronger and or make it worth it. Choose your hard. Being broke is hard. Being broke is hard. Making more out of making something out of nothing is hard. But what's on the other side of that hard? Success, fulfillment, gratitude, thankfulness. But staying broke, that's not an option. Not for people like you and me, right? It's not an option. Me sharing this information is not an option. It's my way of giving back. So that's what we're doing here, giving back. So we're going to tie everything all together here. Mindset, relationships, purpose driven, smart money moves. Because that's what this show is about, right? Steps to achieve financial alignment. You need to review and update your budget to reflect current priorities. As I said, you got to have your pen and your paper out here, right? You got to do an audit of subscriptions and spending leaks. So you got a bucket full of money, and it's got holes drilled all at the bottom of that bucket. You just don't even know where your money is going to, because it doesn't have a destination, and or you don't have you're not patching up them holes, right? There's apps out there that will tell you where your money and your subscriptions are going. Use them. They're tools. You got to use all the tools that you can that are there for you, that'll allow you to make better money moves, smarter money moves, right? So you got to align money flow with the goals. Like I talked about, your money needs to have a destination. When you get paid, you need to you can go to your employer and have them send certain amounts of money to a certain account. You don't even have to see it. You should have 10% of savings, 10% for investing, and the rest to pay your bills. And then you got to have that little budget for your celebratory stewardship of money. Anything else than that, are you really serious about what you say you are? Are you really in alignment? What's coming out of your mouth, the actions that you're taking, the spiritual alignment with money? Are you going to be a good steward and stick to the plan? Right? Did you have the conversations with your spouse and your children, right? The tribe, that you're all going to the same place financially. I'm going to make sure that we have what we need here, hon. I'm going to make sure that the children are all set. But we got to stick to this financial plan so that we get there all together. Right? If I only knew what I knew now back when I was a younger man, boy, this would really be different. This would really be different. We got to set checkpoints 3-6 months down the road, right? A 1-year financial checkpoint. Am I on track? Right? You cannot um measure what you don't track. There's no way you can do it. How do you know where you are if you're not tracking it over periods of time and reevaluating? Right? I said there's three parts to every goal. There's the goal, there's the strategy, and then there's the execution. Right? You gotta have it. And if without those, you don't. Your goal is just a wish. You gotta have it. So I'm just going to say that you got to stick with the legacy framework because this is the connection and the solution. Alignment supports the guard pillar and the elevate pillars. The six pillars work in unison: learn, elevate, guard, align, um, change, and it is all up to you in the why. It's all up to you. Go back, listen to the previous episodes, go to the Legacy Insights podcast on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, scan that QR code, get the information, and from there, you can go about building the legacy that you've always wanted. I'm your host, Moving Money Mike, and I want to thank you for the privilege of your time tonight. As always, I am truly grateful for this opportunity to bring this information to you. And with that, we're going to say good night.